Welcome to America's Commercial Real Estate Show, your source for intel, forecasts, and strategies. And today we have some great strategies for you because we have Scott Muldavin here. He's 2017 Chair of Counselors of Real Estate. He's also president of Muldavin Company. And this report, we're going to have a link to the report. It's the top 10 issues affecting commercial real estate. And what a good time for us to talk about this, because I think everybody's concerned about where we are in the cycle and about interest rates and about our new president and all the things coming in. But tell us about this report, Scott, and why you guys do it and why should we care?
Well, first of all, if you think about us as real estate people, we're actually all futurists. You're doing a 7 to 10 year lease, you're doing an acquisition, you're a home buyer that's buying something. You essentially need to be a futurist. But what's different from us, from somebody on a think tank, is we're pragmatic futurists. We got to make a call today based on stuff happening 10 years in the future. So I will guarantee you, in listening to our discussion today, that there are things that are going to be really important and impact the kinds of decisions that you're making as a real estate person.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we're writing the checks, right? And we have to predict the future. So, number one, political polarization and global uncertainty. What are the implications?
Well, first of all, what it is, as we all know, there's uncertainty around the world with Brexit and nationalization in Europe, and actually a better chance for shooting wars in Asia and maybe in Iran. Just a lot of uncertainty, and the political polarization, both here at home, but both between the parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, and within the parties, has been a big issue. It's kind of the elephant, we call it the elephants in the room. They sort of infect all of our top 10 issues. Some of the big implications are uncertainty in particular deals with delaying decisions. You either delay or defer decisions. And as real estate people, we like risk. I can price risk, I can mitigate risk. In fact, and I know risk better than the next guy. That's why transactions happen. You think you understand it better. Uncertainty is the killer. We just don't know what to do with it. So that's a big issue. The second issue is that you're making bad or short-term deals. Let's take on healthcare. We can't get this healthcare reform passed, and that's really bad for people that don't have healthcare or want to buy healthcare. But if you're a hospital, lots of hospitals are going to have issues. There's all kinds of leasing decisions related to healthcare issues. So that's a big issue. Infrastructure investment, not getting that done, that's hugely important, and all kinds of decisions related to budgets. And there's an example of that is in the Carolinas, one of the health systems there, they were just announced a 23% premium for their increase on their health insurance premium. And they said it would have been 9% if they would have had more confidence in the decisions about healthcare and so forth. So there's all kinds of ramifications that affect, retail, hospitality properties related to the tourism, global trade, the cross-border trade. Think about global supply chains. You're a Mercedes-Benz or a Ford manufacturer here in the U.S. You're getting parts from all over the world. That kind of uncertainty is just really damaging for businesses and real estate in particular.
Yeah, and even down to the individual investors. Maybe we don't know what's going to happen with the 1031 exchange, right? And the tax situations moving forward.
Oh, yeah. It's very, very challenging. So,
Well, let's look at number two, the technology boom. There's certainly been a lot of technology out there for
right, and it's kind of a funny title, the technology boom. Is that really that could be a top 10 issue every year, and maybe it is. But what's really particularly unique about technology this year, it's really an applications boom. We've had technology in real estate for numbers of years, but we're finally to the point where some of them have shaken out. But the MIT Innovation Lab recently identified 1,600 real estate applications in the world, and venture capital investment went from about $300 million in 2011 to over nearly $3 billion in 2016. So You see this huge increase in applications affecting every aspect of the real estate business: acquisitions, leasing, management. Nothing's going to stay the same. The other key one in technology is robotics. McKinsey put out a report early in 2017 saying that in the U.S., 51% of all jobs could be automated based on current technology. And that's, 60% of companies could have 30% of the jobs automated out. That has huge implications for knowing which tenants are going to survive and prosper in the future. And so what's even more scary, I'll tell just a quick story about the pallets in an industrial. It takes a human being about 6 seconds to take a tightly packed pallet and make it so you could use it. They had a robot do it. This robot took about 15 seconds the first time that it did it. Then it watched a video of itself doing it. And within a few hours, it was doing them 1 per second, 6 times faster than a human, which gets to the other key point in robotics. We're not just talking about robots or automation. We're talking about artificial intelligence and a human type learning for machines, which is going to increase, and that's really what the McKinsey report was about, the numbers of occupation software engineers. Leverton is a company that does lease abstracting, all kinds of stuff in technology. So I'll stop there, but autonomous cars are interesting. Internet of Things that is changing, data access in buildings. So keeping an eye on technology is pretty darn important.
Yeah, and you mentioned driverless cars, and that is real interesting to me because as we try to make real estate decisions as developers, lenders, and investors, parking has always been a big deal. And so, what's in our future there?
Yeah, so interestingly, I just did at a conference, I did an interview, so sort of like we're doing here with John Kilroy, who is the head of Kilroy Realty. They do a lot of development in San Francisco and LA and Seattle, and they're already having to totally factor in autonomous cars and Uber and ride-sharing in the way they design their buildings. Parking, way less or no parking. Even the cities there don't want them to put a lot of parking in. So and recently I was out in a suburban area and I saw a new apartment building going up and it looked like a hotel. It had a whole place for the drop-offs, the Amazon drop-offs, the Uber car drop-offs, and so people are already planning for autonomous vehicles. Even more happening even quicker is autonomous trucks. The cost to put the autonomous technology in a truck is only 4 to 8% of the cost of a truck. It's 10 to 30% of the cost for a car. And trucks, they like to drive them all night. We don't have enough truck drivers, and they're already putting technology in the signs. So autonomous trucks are much quicker going to happen even than cars.
Yeah, and it's that could also increase our productivity. If I'm sitting in the back seat, I can work while I'm being driven around, right?
Yeah, there's some really, particularly with autonomous cars, there's some interesting implications relative to how it changes the dynamic of the suburbs, because transportation access has become one of the most important investment criteria, particularly for institutional investors. But now with autonomous cars, it makes real estate property that's not near transit have the opportunity to potentially be even more competitive and offset a really negative trend for non-transit located real estate.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I guess if you're building a new development now and you're having to create these big parking lots that you think are not going to be used, I guess you want to think about that and the design of that parking lot so maybe you can change use for it, right?
Yeah, no, that's another part of the future-proofing your design in order to make it change. In fact, that's not just with autonomous cars, but there's so many changes, and change happens so much rapidly. If you look at corporate real estate and what they think is important in their real estate, flexibility in their leases and their frames and the way they need flexibility to be able to adapt to the changing business climate. So as real estate people, we need to be super sensitive to that particular issue.
Yeah, that's a good point, because these parking lots, if you don't build them correctly, it's hard to change use.
Very difficult. Yeah, there's some difficulties. Yeah.
There's a parking lot in a building that I sold recently, and it was not a very nice parking lot in the bottom of a building. Well, now it's a very cool nightclub. It's like just amazing transformation. Well, we're only at 2 at the top 10. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk about the other top 10 issues affecting commercial real estate. I'm Michael Bull. This is America's Commercial Real Estate Show. Stay with us.